Pakistani time. What is the time in UK?
Uh, I would say maybe about 11. I think
I
11
think it's
o'clock.
11, yes. All right, everyone, we are finally live. And thanks God, Alhamdulillah, internet is working. We
For
try to
now.
be with
For
you for
now.
it will work, it will work. We tried to be with you a few hours ago, but unfortunately it didn't work. Regina, I'm gonna send this link right now to my friends in my community so they can join, and you please do the same. Send this link to
Mm-hmm.
your friends in your community so whoever is available, they can join us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do that. Mhm.
Okay. Where is the link?
So you can just share your personal page because that thing is being streamed on your page and on my profile.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
So isn't it
But
lovely how people actually get to see the process of this and, just understand the struggle and the torture
yeah,
that
yeah,
live
but don't
streams say?
but once you actually share it, like right now what you're doing, once you actually share it, it poses your video. So share it and then come back because you're audible but you're not visible. Which is all right because we're still waiting for people to join, and that's gonna take a few minutes until all of them get notifications.
If they join, which is fine, I mean, fair enough.
Okay, so did you send them the link? Did you WhatsApp them?
Mm-hmm. I
Okay,
did.
so come back, please. Turn on your camera.
So, yeah, if I get banned for spams, for spam, if I get banned for spams, it will be all your fault.
It's
So I
exactly
just wanted to
entirely my fault. Done?
Yes, exactly. Yes, absolutely. Because you know what? We got banned together, one after the other from WhatsApp. We had technical difficulties. We had internet problems, something that we've never had. And I think we should have taken, this as a sign, but obviously we don't learn. So here we are
I
trying
think
again.
I think only the aliens didn't land today, And otherwise it would have been epic.
That is absolutely true. It's just good that we remain like with a good sense of humor. And for those who don't know, I'm Bulgarian and so is Sunny. So we are both Bulgarian and we are both survivors. So Bulgarians are very, very survivalist nation to start. They
Yeah.
never did. They die hard.
Very, very
So are
tough
we.
nation. Never gives up. Yeah, yeah. We
Never
never
give
give up.
up. Yes. So I just wanted to share a little bit of something. I can see that some people are already wanting to join in, which is really lovely. I hope that happens. But I just wanted to share something while we're sitting here and kind of waiting. But I wanted to tell the audience and whoever gets to watch this video that Sunny today, she gave me therapy after the failure, the technical failure. She did it so well, Sunny. You're wonderful. I love you for that. That was just that was very, very lovely. Um, and she told me that I'm a perfectionist and I can't deal with failures, and she's completely right about it. So I'm hoping that we can all heal here today, one way or another. So,
Yes, yes, I fully agree. But thanks God, all this is behind us. We sorted it out. And I think,
mm,
Regina, we should start. Whoever wants to join, they can join. Those who are not available right now, obviously, this is going to be recorded and it's going to go on YouTube and it's going to also stay on our walls. People can watch it later. And if they have any questions, they can always message us on private and we're going to answer these questions there also, right?
yeah, absolutely. So let's get it going. Just gonna bring my kind of my notes um and sort of pick up where we left off, or maybe we can start all over again. So the
I
discussion
think,
today,
yeah,
yeah,
let's make it easier and start all over again. So, basically, our dear viewers, what we have created is a podcast on the topic ending dependency and finding connection. It's mainly for women, just to give them the hidden formula to female fulfillment, right, Regina?
that's exactly right. And
So,
also to kind of open up the channels for women to evaluate where that behavior comes from and why they are in the predicament in which they are. Because it all comes from places that aren't too obvious. And we are all conditioned, especially cultural conditioning plays a big role in hyperdependency, specifically when it comes to the South Asian and the um, Middle Eastern community. But dependency, hyperdependency in women can be found in every culture. And it's it's age-old condition of women. And maybe Sunny, if you allow me, I'm just going to get started on that. You
yeah,
okay
sure,
with it?
sure. Go ahead. I
Yeah.
see that few people are already watching us. Guys, for
Hmm.
those of you who are watching us, please leave your comments. Can you tell us, can you hear us? Are we visible? Are we audible? And any comments that you have, don't hesitate to comment. We're gonna be very happy to respond. Carry on, please.
Hmm. Right. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was what is hyperdependency in married women? So hyperdependency in married women is basically uh, viewed in common words as someone being clingy or very needy, but in clinical terms, we look at it as self-abandonment. And self-abandonment has very dire repercussions on intimacy and vulnerability in a relationship. I just wanted to illustrate this with an example, which I had tried to actually do earlier, but I'll do it again, and Sonia, you can jump in. It's a very familiar situation. A wife is at home or perhaps at work and messages her husband to grab his attention, maybe say hi or share something with him. She doesn't get a response, or maybe she's left unread, and then she knows that her husband is available on social media. She can see him active, but he does not respond. What does that bring? What does it stir within a spouse, within a woman? It usually the sense of extreme anxiety, maybe even resentment, and resentment has been built over time, so it's not a one-off thing. And then she's simply paralyzed with those emotions, frozen in home or whatever she is, unable to cope with her day because she needs to get that attention and validation immediately. Why does a woman do that? Women are creatures that are safety based. Our nervous system is safety based. When you're a hyperdependent, your nervous system has externalized its need for safety and lay it in the hands of someone else who obviously can fail at providing us safety, such as your husband. So when you don't have an internal safety and you externalize it, you exported it, you gave it in the hands of someone else, then you are entirely dependent on how he will react. When he does not react in a way that makes you feel safe, you immediately bring the feelings of anxiety, stress, fear, and resentment. So this illustrates, in very simple terms, what hyperdependence looks like. Sunny, what can you add about that? Do you have experience with such clients? And I'm sure you do. By the way, guys,
I
Sunny is based
have.
in Pakistan. She's based in Pakistan, so she knows the Pakistani audience very well as the Middle Eastern audience. Carry on.
I think that our life prove that I'm based in Pakistan without telling the clients that I'm based in Pakistan because the electricity just stopped.
Oh no, so
Otherwise, joke aside,
continue.
yes, yes, yes. But of course, I always have a backup. Nothing
Mhm.
can beat me. So, glad to meet you, everyone. My name is Sunny. I'm Bulgarian. I am psychologist, certified psychologist and sexologist, and me and Regina know each other for quite some time. Uh, I wanted to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. And to answer your question, yes, first of all, I have personally experienced this myself. Uh, Before I started working on my clients doing this, I was the one who was very anxious. I was the one who, when I send a message and I don't get a reply, I would edit this message, I would delete this message, I would definitely react. And I didn't know what's going on. I would always think, oh, that person doesn't want to talk to me, that person doesn't want to give me attention. And I would never be like, oh, maybe he's busy. And even with friends, maybe she's busy, maybe something else is going on. Right. I have seen when it comes to terms of marriage and partnership, that's a very, very common pattern. 75% of the women that I know and I work with are anxious in their attachment style, and their husbands usually are avoidant. So I think I see this dynamic happening daily. On the other side, I mostly view the things from the sexological point of view. And mostly what happens with women who are from traditional cultures, they're usually dependent on their husbands. And when they're dependent, they usually don't feel safe. And I'm talking about not only financial safety and stability, overall structural safety. Uh,
Mm,
and that brings this woman, so she's supposed to be in her feminine energy, right?
mhm,
But then she becomes in her masculine energy, trying to survive, trying to think, what should I do, how I should get his attention. And all that circle, all that trigger, when it starts, activates the nervous system, activates the hormones, and leads to complete closure in the females. I think before I go on further, I want to ask the ladies if they have any questions, because I think more people are watching us. Feel free
mhm.
to ask them, right?
Yeah,
Um, and this, yes, Regina, also you carry on with your question.
yeah. I mean, I just wanted to add, you said that the issue is structural, which is exactly spot on. And what we mean by a structural issue is we mean that the internal support system of a human being. And when someone is in constant state of fear, obviously someone is in a constant cortisol high. Now, when you have cortisol flowing through your body, cortisol is very effective blocking the love hormones, so to speak, or the happy hormones. You know, we are talking about oxytocin, etc., right? So when you sit with cortisol, you cannot anymore open up. You aren't open to intimacy. You aren't even open to discussion. In fact, the body immediately reacts. What do we say? Fight, flight, freeze. But there is another reaction to this, which is very typical to the hyperdependent wives, and that is fawn, right? So fawning means where you try to make yourself as small as possible, as convenient as possible. You would be walking on eggshells and constantly checking the kind of the emotional temperature in the room. You would try to appease, you would try to go out of your way. This is, in a way, the exact situation of the perfect wife, the saint, the family saint. And this, unfortunately, this condition of the woman in Middle East and the Pakistani society is actually glorified. You know, it is expected, it is encouraged, and it's glorified. But we also have to understand that this condition of a woman is actually a trauma response. This is not a woman free to explore herself or to connect with her husband, experience real emotions, even love. In fact, in this condition, a woman's love is actually equated to servitude. So service is replacing love. Now, what is the problem with that from a sexual perspective, Sunny? When a woman does not really connect in a loving way with her husband, but she's in the state of servitude. What happens in terms of intimacy? What is your
Many things happen in terms of intimacy. I want to go first back to when you mentioned the high cortisol. Overall, physiologically. When there is high cortisol, it blocks the hormones of pleasure. When what I'm trying to say is that the chronic cortisol suppresses the estrogen, disrupts oxytocin, the bonding hormone, suppresses the dopamine also, and the dopamine is related to the desire and to the anticipation, and usually also interferes with the progesterone. So this calm emotional safety that we're supposed to feel in order to open up and to enjoy our sexuality with our partner, it's not possible to happen. That creates a cycle where the desires in a woman become inconsistent or they disappear. Or even if she has a desire, the arousal takes longer, a lot longer, or it never happens. And
Mhm.
even if they perform, even if everything on the surface is right, it's again not right because orgasms become weaker, mechanical, or
Mhm.
really difficult to reach. And
Or
normally
perhaps
people
even faked. There are a lot of
expect,
my
yeah.
clients who are very open saying that in fact they've never had an orgasm. They have faked orgasms consistently through their marriage, which is quite unfortunate.
Yes,
Hmm.
because they have not taught their bodies how to enjoy, and plus adding this layer of the psychological resistance that the body brings, it makes a total psychological and hormonal shutdown. People normally these days it's very famous to talk about energies, so people call it masculine survival energy or blocked energy, and usually even psychosomatically you can see this that the jaw is tight in these clients, the shoulders are elevated, there is a shallow and fast chest breathing. uh,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to get that deeper right now in these psychosomatics.
Hmm.
I want to say that pleasure requires surrender, and surrender requires safety, safety and
Hmm.
trust with the partner. Because female pleasure is not linked to the performance, but it's linked to letting go and to surrender and to allowing the partner to lead, right?
Hmm.
So many women, they try to control their bodies. They want to allow themselves to feel pleasure, but if they focus just on the efficiency over presence, things don't happen. And
Hmm.
men misunderstand this in the relationship. They say, "Oh, she's not attracted to me anymore. She doesn't want me. She's cold," or even they say she's not very feminine. But
Hmm.
what really happens is that her body does not feel safe enough to open with him,
Hmm.
and there is no amount of techniques, uh, pressure, or whatever you put to make
Hmm.
her body enjoy, because pleasure is permission based, not
Hmm.
effort based.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent thing to say. But also to add to that, you see the expectation of women in this condition, in hypervigilance and hyperdependence, is that their partners are really responsible to really bring that out in them. Um, so this contradicts actually modern psychology and therapy. In fact, the internal safety is not guided by your external conditions. It is guided entirely by your subconscious and and your conditioning as well as your experience with trauma, and mostly that happens in childhood. In fact, if we go by the family constellations philosophy, it comes down from generations genetically. So, in a sense, we are born with predisposition to actually feel unsafe in a marriage, in a relationship. And then we have societal conditioning as well, experiencing men in a negative way, and then deciding that actually being vulnerable and open with a man is not safe. Now, of course, there could always be the naysayers saying that, well, men earn that. This is what men do, which is of course in some context may be true. But you see, as partners, as wives, you have decided to choose to live with this man. You've decided to connect your life with him. So if you punish your husband for the faults of someone else, or perhaps attach to him experiences from the past, then you are assassinating any opportunity for the marriage to flourish, continuing on the downhill of feeling completely unsafe and adding resentment to that because your expectation is for him to bring you safety and for he's incapable to do that. Now, there is an addition to that more that when a woman is not safe, and this is, you see, these are the requirements of every human being. The first one being food, air, water, shelter. And the second one is safety. And then the third one is emotional connection. So without going through the stage of safety, you cannot move to emotional connection. But let's point that out. This is a condition not just for women. This is a condition for men as well. So when you don't feel emotionally safe within yourself, and then your connection with your husband is simply performative, he doesn't feel safe either because neither of you is actually open to intimacy with each other. And I'm not saying that you can change that for him, but you can certainly change that for yourself. And I just wanted to go on and talk about how we can get to the stage of safety so we can move towards intimacy and vulnerability. And what you were saying about being sexually open. You see, a sexual connection cannot be genuine and open if you aren't facing the person who is with you um, in your authentic self. If you're unsafe, you can't be your authentic self. You're the version of you that is ready to fight, freeze, flight, or fawn. That is a role, that is a mask. It's the mask that you play in order to kind of feel some kind of grounding. So, Sunny, why don't we go into discussing what would be one method? And I'm going to go for the other one, or there's so many, by the way, What would be one method that you would recommend in order to connect with your spouse to accomplish some level of safety so you can be more open sexually?
Before I answer this question, there are ladies that have been asking us questions, Regina, in the comments below.
Amazing.
Uh,
I'm so
I
sorry, I
think,
can't
I
see the
think
comments.
let's, I think let's, and please allow me to cut you, if, things become a bit longer because I just want them to, I'm really happy that they participate. So there is Madiha saying before when we spoke, so an act as simple as not getting attention from husband or thinking you're probably not good enough activated the nervous system to go into a fight or flight mode, and this leading to high cortisol. Madiha, yes, I'm going to answer this question. Exactly, you have understood this very, very, very well. That's exactly how the process happens on a hormonal level, and that's exactly how it feels. It suppresses the libido. It feels the same way also when you feel shame and when you feel guilt. The stress, shame, guilt, all of these are under one, how to call it, under one head. From psychological perspective, if you feel unsafe, if you feel shame, if you feel guilt, your libido is suppressed because it keeps the nervous system in a state of fight and flight, moral
High alert.
surveillance, yeah, high alert, rather than embodying presence. And even when you start the sexual act, instead of the things to move naturally, how they should, you think, you analyze, you're too much in your head, not in your body. In many Asian societies, women are thought to be good girls, that, they should not show too much. And when a woman has been taught that her desire is shameful or it's too much, her body learns to contract the moment of when the moment of arousal begins, her body starts cutting off the blood flow, start changing the breathing, and plus when we add to this the feeling of unsafety, the marriage becomes purely transactional. The man has to provide finance and resources, and the woman is expected to serve him and to give this intimacy. But this repression interrupts this exchange in the marriage, where, intimacy, bonding, and pleasure, they're supposed to come naturally. They're supposed to circulate between the two bodies as a flow, same way that you spontaneously kiss your kids, right? Regina, if you want to add anything to it, carry on.
Mm, yes, what I wanted to actually say, in addition to that, is that you see, the question here is that do you automatically shut down? But then it is a revolving door. It is almost self-fulfilling prophecy because if you feel rejected, you feel unsafe, you go to coping mechanisms. Number one, you fawn. So you overserve, you overhelp, you oversupport, you abandon yourself, you shrink yourself in order to secure yourself in the marriage. Number two, it's a parent and child dynamic, you know, where uh you go into an infantile stage, basically telling your husband indirectly, or how do I say, uh, showing your husband that his provision needs to be, it's so essential for you, you are incapable of actually surviving for that. You see, when you have a parent and child dynamic, that is not sexy at all. Nobody wants to engage with their daughter, and no woman wants to engage with her father, right? So the intimacy is actually completely withdrawn from that format, from that interaction or that format of marriage, right? So if you observe those stages, if you observe those cycles in your marriage, you have to be completely aware that you are hyperdependent. And your hyperdependency does not come from anything that your spouse does. It comes from the fact that you have arrived in that connection preconditioned to feel extremely unsafe. Now, there is a very interesting point that I want to bring up here, and Sonia, I hope you can bear with me for a little bit longer. Women who are financially dependent on their husbands tend to be on the extreme end of hyperdependency, right? And we are not talking about extreme end of financial hyperdependency. We are talking about extreme end of psychological and emotional hyperdependency. When you do not have resources, your marriage becomes your job. You are employed with your marriage. That is your employment. And as Sunny very rightly pointed out, this now is a completely transactional marriage. In a transactional marriage, there is no space for vulnerability. Just like a business, you sign a contract. If you get emotional about the contract, it doesn't go well. Your business project will fail if it's run by emotions. So, this is also the other confusion that a lot of women have. You know, they are in a transactional marriage, yet they expect and they want and they crave intimacy, closeness, and love. But their partner is also in a transactional marriage. So they are frustrated with each other, wanting from each other something that they're incapable of giving because it doesn't feel safe. Does that make sense? I hope so.
I think
Shall
it
we go
makes
to the?
perfect sense. What I want to just remind you is that we also have created solution for our viewers for this because we actually decided to collaborate in this podcast because me and Regina are moving towards something different than one-on-one sessions, something that is very affordable for everyone. We decided to be able to reach more viewers, people from different backgrounds, and we have created two courses. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about mine first. I'm gonna lead the sexological part of this collaboration, and I have created for you something very valuable. My course it's called Overcoming Sexual Taboos and Creating Lasting Intimacy. And in this course, I'm gonna guide and lead all Pakistani and Muslim women to clear and heal the sexual repression that is not only a result of the marriage, but also the premarital conditioning, the silence, the fear, modesty, and everything that comes in your mind in this moment. I'm going to put all my knowledge to give you all the tools and details. And right now, as we're talking, I'm gonna share with you a link. So those of you who want to join, feel free to ask more questions. Feel free to buy it and subscribe immediately. And also, I'm gonna give this back to Regina because also she has created something for you. So you carry on,
Yes,
Regina.
actually, these are two complementary courses under the umbrella of Rotova Integrated Therapy. And the complementary courses are it's actually wonderful to take as a pair. I would like to claim for the people who don't have much time for therapy, or perhaps they have limited resources, these are combined 20 sessions of therapy within two courses. So you will get the blueprint of overcoming hyperdependency, identifying how it is a reality for you in your specific conditions and in your specific case, and then having the steps to step out of hyperdependency and then evaluate your marriage on a different footing. Now, the proposition is this: your marriage grows, intimacy expands, and everyone's happy. But in some cases, hyperdependency has become far too toxic. It needs to be dealt with in a much deeper and concise level in order to first recover yourself as a human being and connect with your authentic self from that shrunken small version that you have been forced to live with for all these many years within the marriage. And and I will walk you through the steps. This is interactive course, live session, as well as exercises, Q&As, etc. So you'll be well taken care of on both sides.
Yes, you're just gonna get a few short videos to watch. The videos are easily being able to watch from your phone or 15 minutes in the morning before you get out of your bed or 15 minutes a night. It's made really, actually, I have a lot of experience creating courses. I'm quite famous in the Bulgarian auditory. So I have created and also I have suggested, Regina, a format that you really love. You can join, and also after that we're going to have a live Q&A session, but that Q&A session is not going to be here on Facebook. It's going to be in a closed community in Zoom where you can ask anything without revealing even your identity. So we have considered also your safety and a need of privacy, and
Privacy.
you don't have to worry about that. Regina, there is one comment that still we have not answered. There is Nabila Iqbal. Hi, Nabila, that asks, does this include men with narcissistic traits? Traits? Threats. Okay. So I think she means when we were talking about the lack of safety in a marriage, and I think she asked this question a few minutes ago. Right, Nabila? If you're still online, can you please elaborate a bit more? Can you please be a little bit more detailed in your questions so we can give you a detailed answer?
Do you mind if I take in a little bit while Nabila has a go at this? You
Sure,
see,
carry
the thing
on.
is that when you make this about your partner, when you're making a statement that does that include people with narcissistic qualities, you have to understand that even with men who are full-blown narcissists, and perhaps they can even get, the diagnosis of narcissism, it is still your job. It is you that needs to grow on the inside so you can overcome the obstacles that you're facing in the marriage. So this is exactly what I say about hyperdependency, and this is an excellent example of hyperdependency because it's turned towards your partner, the expectation of what the partner should bring to the table, the expectation or the failures of what they can't give or they aren't providing. I'm not saying that there is no possibility for your partner to be wrong and they might be actually treating you in a poor way and taking advantage of you and maybe forcing you further in hyperdependency. And by the way, that is extremely common um, pattern with narcissistic personalities, right? They would force you in hyperdependency and then they will devalue you, right? That is very real. And yet, take the course, grow. You can step out of this.
Yes, I think Nabila still didn't answer, so I'm just gonna carry on this. Nabila, we are here for you if you want to specify more the question. Again, I'm giving you this space. Regina, I have a question for you that we didn't even get time to talk. So you talk always about transactions, transactional marriage. And when people hear transactional marriage, they usually think that this thing sounds very cold and businesslike. But I know that you have argued with me that clear terms and conditions actually can create the hottest, wildest romance. Can you please break down the psychology of why knowing exactly what you give and what you get, it makes the woman feel more loved and it makes the man feel more desired, not less.
Okay. Well, when in fact, historically, all marriages are transactional. Marriage,
Yeah,
by
they
its
are.
nature, is a contract. And so, transactionality in marriage is the very basis of marriage. The modern notion of romance and love in marriage is actually modern, it's quite new. Marriages were arranged traditionally in all societies worldwide. That includes European societies just as recent as 100 years ago. So, when it comes to transactions, that is, the thing is that in the past, people understood transactional marriages very well. They were contractual, and the expectations were very clear. Be loyal, provide an heir, maintain public image, and um, raise children, right? Those were the expectations for women.
Yes.
And what are the expectations for men? Provide, provide physical and financial safety, give public image, and give your name to the children, right? Beyond that, there was very little expectation in marriage in terms of romance. And people understood very well that love is very fleeting. It's there, it comes and it goes. Now the confusion comes when we enter a marriage, especially an arranged one, and then we expect that this will turn into love. When those kind of lines are blurred, and when both partners are confused, they're incapable of actually meeting each other's needs because they aren't on the same frequency at most cases, right? So when
Yes.
marriages are very with very clear terms, what does that bring? Safety. Marriages with very clear terms bring safety. And they remove the expectation of performative romance. What does that mean? Faking being in love. Yeah, right? Doing things for each other, telling each other you love each other, and when there isn't real love to have been had the opportunity to grow because it doesn't come before safety. Yeah. And there is another thing that transactional marriage provides. Each partner is allowed to actually be themselves. Why? Because they don't have to impress each other. They're very
Yes.
clear of what they have to do, right? And when two people are authentically themselves, they have the highest opportunity to actually connect with each other because intimacy is only possible if you step into it with the authentic self. You connect on real terms, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I also add something to this, love?
That is because you're the sexologist, and I will never cross that boundary. That's you. You can bring this. Bring it
All
on.
right. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to add it because sometimes, a lot of thoughts when you talk arise, and I don't even have time to write them down. So, yeah, I just want to add that you can see, girls, how correlation, sorry, between women who have actually mastered this transaction and women who enjoy their marriage, their intimacy. And why this is like that? Because when this internal contract is clear, your body, the women's body, genuinely registers, now I am safe, I am provided for, I don't have to stay alert. And here the nervous system finally downshifts from survival to receiving and receptivity. And of course, sexually, this opens the access to a very deep arousal. Usually, such ladies, they're ready to do everything with their partners, spontaneous desire, and there is a huge capacity to let the sensation build instead of controlling it. In my clinical experience, I have seen And it doesn't matter where we are in the world. As you know, I'm Eastern European, but I work with clients all over the world. And oh, everywhere in the world, I have seen this strong correlation that women who no longer have to negotiate safety and understanding are more likely to experience multiple orgasm, are more likely to have a very, very happy sexual life because their pelvic floor, their pelvis is relaxed, the blood flows, and they surrender feeling safe rather than in risk. That's why if any of you right now that are watching us and listening to us feels that any of these criteria are not met, contact us, either me or Regina, for more details, for a private session. And also, again, I'm going to leave the link to my course, Overcoming Sexual Taboos and Creating Lasting Intimacy, where I open up for all this and I create space where you can learn more. I'm a person that I have all my life very, very much convinced that orgasms have to be a very active part of my life. Regina knows this. We have spoken a lot about that. And it's not going to be so much about techniques rather than the whole transition from guarded sexuality to embodied and sustained pleasure. And this is what we always want to teach our clients, what we want to make them learn. That's why I'm going to leave this link below. And of course, not to be into many details, I'm going to give Regina the space to carry on.
Yeah, I'm just going to take right where you left off because I can't leave men out of this equation.
Oh,
There
yes,
is a
please.
lot of questions in my clinical practice where clients come asking me, why would a man be attracted to a woman who clearly is there to explore, like, take advantage of his resources, right? Why is a man so openly attracted to that? It's quite simple. We are taught that exploiting men's resources is actually shameful and it speaks something about our own character. But the reality is,
Regina, I'm
this,
sorry to cut you, but even the people are commenting. Right now, we cannot hear you very well. I think it's something about the headphones. Was
okay,
going to happen if you actually change the microphone or change the headphones? What is the
I can change.
provider
If
or
you
the
all
source?
bear with me for a second, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes, it's better. Yeah, carry on, please. Just give it a try. Just say something.
No, I'm just going to take the microphones off.
Oh, that's very good. Right now is just perfect the way we hear you. Right, girls?
Can you
Yes.
hear me better?
Yes, yes, it's marvelous. There is something in the headphones. Yeah, better. Nabila is also saying better. Yeah, can you just leave it like that and just listen, from the phone, from the device?
Yeah, if you just give me a moment, because you know the headphones usually automatically switch off.
Don't worry, don't worry. Just carry on. I'm just gonna talk a little bit more to the girls and I'm gonna give them a space to our lovely ladies to ask questions. So you please do whatever technically over there is required, right?
So I wanted to just allude to why men are attracted to women who obviously use them, right? Why men are okay with that. It is simply because for a man, the method of earning his value with a woman is provision. That is actually inculcated on a very primitive level in the male psyche. So when a woman is openly helping herself to that, in exchange to feel safe and sexually open, for a man, it doesn't matter that she takes advantage of his resources because he feels valued, wanted, and appreciated, and this is how, unfortunately, affairs happen. Just
Oh,
apply,
yes.
I always say, be the mistress in the marriage, be the mistress in the marriage. Apply that psyche that usually mistresses have to your own marriage. You know that your husband responds to that. Be that person. It actually doesn't take emotional uh, gymnastics to be that person. It doesn't take more of you. And in fact, it heals you from being the saint wife. The saint wife is not appreciated. After a while,
Never.
everything that you provide in a marriage in terms of cooking, cleaning, watching after kids, supporting your husband's family, etc., is taken for granted. So there is no reason to actually grow in frustration for something that's taken for granted. And I'll tell you why. Because any of those activities don't make your man feel wanted. They don't. He just equates you to your mother. That's all that it is. It doesn't make him feel wanted. It doesn't make him feel desired. It doesn't make him feel attracted. So why waste such precious years, effort, your health, your mental stability in order to shrink yourself when you can provide the one thing to yourself? And I'm not saying you have to provide it to your husband. I'm saying you can provide it to yourself. Take advantage of resources, support yourself and grow your own investments, your income, perhaps work if that's what wants you, or a passive income, because that too makes you feel safe. That too grows your safety. It also grows your independence, you know, and then be a mistress. Just be the mistress you
Look,
want to
there
be.
is a question, and that question is very, very good one. Nabila, thank you for it. She's asking, okay, but what if they resent providing even groceries money? You see how bare minimum we're talking about right now. I don't know. Should I leave Regina to talk about it? Because I'm afraid if I leave her, like we're gonna get a lot of followers, and every man who lands on this podcast will want to slaughter us. But okay, you carry on.
Look, I have to say that men can gain great benefit from those insights because that would be very helpful for them to understand where they stand in the marriage market, where they
Yes,
stand in the terms of desirability. You know, for a man who does not provide grocery money, he's not entitled to a woman. He
I
does
agree.
not have rights over you as a husband. In fact, that is mentioned in Quran, Hadith, and Sunnah 3 times at the least. There are only 3 conditions for a man to be exempted from providing. Number one is the condition that he's insolvent. That means that he's absolutely and completely broke. There is no resources for him to eat. Even then, he's obligated to provide and share whatever little he has. The second condition is that he has declared talaq. That means the marriage is over, it is done, right? And the third condition is that he is, in fact, um, mm, let me just recall, what was the third condition of men not providing?
He's incarcerated. I don't know.
He's
There is
incarcerated.
no condition where a man cannot provide. I mean, seriously, like, come on.
None of these conditions, and I will recall it. But here we go. It's 2 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand, so your therapist Regina is is getting a bit lagged. But
Yes, in Nabil
even the third
saying,
condition is a tangible condition that is not in the normal circumstances of marriage, right? So what happens then? Your husband does not provide. He's in fact not entitled to you. He's not entitled to your body,
yes,
spiritually, materially, as well as religiously. So you will have to make some hard decisions. In fact, I want to extend a little advice, as my clients, some of them watching me here, know very well that I do like to put a shortcut to success, right? There is no benefit sitting and waiting for your man to change. You will have to activate this about him. Growing boundaries is not about changing your partner. It is about receiving data or understanding how he acts in those circumstances and then drawing conclusions of whether you want to choose to stay or not, right? So drawing boundary is when a man does not support you financially, you leave. You take your bags, you collect your children, and you go. Alternatively, if you have no way of leaving the house, because there are many of those cases in Pakistan, you completely deny access to your body. You stop all the services and provisions that you give into the family because now you are in your masculine energy.
yes.
That means you are tapping onto your testosterone to survive. So, who is the man in this marriage? You are. You are the man in this marriage. You don't cook,
And
you
please
don't
let me add
clean,
something,
you don't
Regina.
do sexual favors.
I know you're not going to mention it, but I really want to add something to it. And all these ladies that, Sinabila is saying, I can't leave as I have balance and dizziness issues. Well, Nabila, okay. So Nabila basically has asked three questions. First, she was saying it is so hard as I am long-term sickness due to stress that caused PPPD, functional dizziness. Where to start? And then she says he does, but resents it. I think you guys know each other, right, Nabila and Regina?
Nabila is a very dear client of mine.
Yeah, I can't leave as I have balance and dizziness issues. Okay, so of course you know each other better and you will be able to get into more details. Since I don't know you, Nabila, what I want to tell you is that, okay, even if you decide not to
You know
leave,
what? Your perspective is excellent, and I think you should go ahead and give it to Nabila.
okay, yeah, so what I would tell you is that do not leave, but now I know what I'm gonna tell you. It might sound a little bit shocking. Even Regina has requested me not to be very shocking with her viewers, but still I'm gonna break this rule and I will tell you that
What is the
please.
worst that can happen?
Yeah, please, if you feel then, okay, you cannot leave. But at the moment where he's not providing to you, this marriage practically is not any more valid. Be open to other options. Please be open to other men. Don't shut your eyes. Don't shut your mouth. Don't, please, don't judge yourself because I know a lot of women that they already are not into this marriage, but they're so much controlled by this self judgment. If you like anyone else, if you think that you can move on, do it. Do it. If you don't feel that you are powerful enough and strong enough to live by yourself, there's so many men, believe me, that will love you and appreciate you and will be very, very happy to provide for you as long as you're just open to them. So I'm not going to get into too much details on a live podcast, Regina, but I think everyone got my point, right?
I think that the rest would benefit, but when it comes to Nabila, because I know Nabila very well, I'm just going to add something to what she's asking because I understand. In fact, Nabila, what Sunny says could be very valid for you. Okay. But everything is baby steps, right? You have to start somewhere. And the first thing that you have to start with knowing is that living in this level of neglect and this kind of mental pressure, and this is called, by the way, financial abuse, and there is also psychological abuse that extends and attaches to that, right? You, in fact, have psychosomatic response to that stress. And there is a lot to do with the dizziness and the spells and everything else that is connected to what you are experiencing in your personal life. A lot of people have chronic diseases in their marriage. And once they leave the burden of the abuse that they've experienced, the chronic disease disappears. It is worth exploring because we only live one life. And there is absolutely no benefit in expecting for someone to change who has shown you who he is over and over and over again, right? So consider there was a very interesting article that I read. And most of people don't leave bad marriages because of the sunk investment fallacy, where they've put investment into that marriage and they don't want to leave it because they would lose that investment. As a matter of fact, marriage, proven by the courts and economics, is a failed business. So your sunk investment is already gone. That is finished. The only thing that you'll be losing, thinking about of losing or winning, is your future investment. Are you willing to invest further into this failed business that you failed to invest in the first place, right? Are you willing to invest more? And who's going to lose from you staying in this relationship? Is it you? Is it your children? Is it your mental health? Is it your physical health? You have to understand that poor investments cause consequences. And those consequences are not only in the past, they're in the future. You are going to pay for a poor investment in the future. So I suggest you to think very hard if you want to invest still more. Um, in what you're investing right now because staying is investing.
Yes, Mariam is asking, Regina, by the way, can you please speak a bit louder because sometimes we can't hear very well? Okay,
Okay.
so Mariam is asking, how can someone become better or grow as a person individually or in a marriage if you feel like your nervous system is constantly under stress? Mariam, I will answer to you not only as a psychologist, but also as survivor. You know, I have been a person that I have been raised in a household where there was never instability. With the most, thanks God, my mom doesn't understand English. I can talk openly here. With the most emotionally unstable mother. After that, when I married, I had some stability in my marriage for a couple of years, and then my nervous system was constantly under stress. When I moved to Pakistan, I was so dependent on my husband. Don't go here, don't drive, don't do this, don't talk to this person. Even though I know, and Regina is a witness, I just focused on myself. I said, enough is enough. I'm not gonna engage and entangle myself in your dramas. Shortly, what I will describe is that please take a piece of paper and write down each and every scenario where you entangle yourself in other people's life the way they want, where you live by their scenarios, providing for them, giving your energy for them. Mother in law, sister in law, whatever, husband, kids, even where you're giving too much. And just please stop giving it and start giving to yourself. First, I know it's difficult, but just make it same way how we quit, let's say, smoking or we quit chocolates. Just say no. From tomorrow, I'm not doing this, this, and this. So you can free some space where you can actually have time to give to yourself. And then start doing the things that you really love, the thing that you can every day do, even without people paying you. Let's say you like to cook or you like to take care of kids or whatever you like. Just start doing this thing and focus on yourself. Make one simple Instagram page or make one TikTok page. Put a post daily. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything wow, but just start and give to yourself, give to yourself. Try this for 30 days, and after 30 days, you will see how far you have gone by giving time and energy to yourself. And then automatically you will gain more confidence that I am strong, I am capable, and I can achieve this even that people are causing me stress. They will see that now you have built a boundary. Your husband will see this, your in laws will see this, that now you do not get entangled with them. And then they always have lived on your reaction. They always want your reaction. Now they will understand that you won't get into these games again. That's what I can say. I think Regina Mayam is also one of your clients. Maybe also you know her. So if you want to add something.
Absolutely. I mean, um, I'm an integrative therapist, which means that I integrate multiple modalities to obtain goals or to help clients achieve goals. I'm a my biggest my boldest move in living with constant stress is approaching this issue from a psychosomatic perspective, right? What Sunny talked about is basically cognitive behavioral therapy approach, right? Understanding consequences, understanding the conditions, and altering your mindset to better your outcomes, right? My approach is psychosomatic. We work with the body. You see, there is multiple exercises, and you know what? I really want you to join my course. This would be ideal for you because I teach multiple protocols of activating the vagus nerve, calming the nervous system, being present in the now, and allowing the cortisol to actually dissipate from your body, right? This is very low effort, high advantage, protocol because your mind is not going to fight it because it takes just 1 or 2 minutes because such a small tiny activity that your mind is not going to be aggravated by it, is not going to react to it. The biggest problem with people who live in constant stress is that your mind is actually wired for survival, right? And everything new that you introduce to the mind, it doesn't like. It doesn't like the change. So if you said that, oh, you got to exercise, your mind would not allow you to put your foot out of the door in order to go for that walk because that is how powerfully wired it is for survival. But when it comes to psychosomatic exercises, because they have got nothing to do with discipline or intention for that matter, it doesn't have to activate an extra aspects of your character, they are very successful because they override the mind's dictating what you have to do. They're like the sneaky little bullets that hit right place, bring down your cortisol, activate your vagus nerve, make you more blissful, connected, and peaceful. And even if you do this, even if you accomplish cortisol dip for 3 minutes a day, in 27 days, you would have rewired your brain to be happy because for 3 minutes a day, for 27 days, the brain he's actually developed a new habit. And that new habit is to be free of stress for a short period of time. When the brain assumes that this is safe because you clearly are still alive and surviving, then it's not going to fight you for the big things. Then you can go and do the protocol that Sunny just said. You know, you can attack everything else in cognitive behavioral therapy approach. I hope that helps.
Yes, I want to add something to this, both actually to Nabila and Mariam. Thank you, girls, for the questions. Nabila earlier said that kids will benefit me staying in a marriage, and also the question of Mariam, what if someone's health and emotions are directly tied to you? If you set boundaries, how to do so without avoiding responsibilities of your marriage? See, I'll answer to both of you in one answer. If you continue postponing working on yourself, fixing the marriage or intimacy, you're overall postponing your structure and safety in your nervous system. So let's say if you just say, okay, kids will benefit me staying, or okay, I'm so dependent on him. Marriages and relationships don't stay in this time neutral. Why we wait for a better time? They damage. You know, nothing in the universe stays the same. Either we progress or we go back. And I want you to remember this. If you're not progressing, definitely you're going back. Everything flows and moves. So there is a huge danger when you have these unspoken expectations, when you don't achieve what you want, and you silently keep it in you. That turns into resentment. And this resentment slowly shuts down your health, your respect, your desire, and of course, actually, even if I just say health, because physical health is so important. So please, transactional boundaries aren't about being cold, being selfish, and so on. Please, they're about clarity. Who will give what? Who will do what? What consequences will happen if that person doesn't want to walk his 50%? And believe me, without this clarity, no woman anywhere in the world, she cannot function healthy. She becomes the emotional provider for the whole family, practical provider. Her body adapts by numbing every nice and pleasurable emotion, by numbing the libido, the pleasure, and after that, also diseases are created in the body because everything unspoken, you can lie the brain, but you cannot lie the body. And by the time your kids are older, this pattern is already wired so deep that after that, I have a client, she has been in such marriage for 12 years, and now her doctor is in love with her, and she cannot even imagine to go on a date with him. She cannot imagine taking any other step because her brain is so much wired into this dysfunctional marriage. Her body is wired to toxicity and she cannot repair herself anymore. I hope I'm able to explain this well enough and detailed enough.
But I just
Regina,
want to add something to this. This what you just said that you can't leave because someone's health depends on you or you're very dependent on a husband. This is the embodiment of hyperdependency. This is exactly what we are talking about. Because hyperdependency is your firm belief that your entire existence depends on someone's good behavior, right? Without even acknowledging that you contribute to that relationship, probably even more than the person on whom you depend. And in fact, hyperdependent people have the tendency to contribute extra and more and more and more to a relationship simply out of fear of abandonment, right? The one way to walk out from that, and of course, in my course, I have several blueprints of how to go about it. But one way to walk around that is to actually kind of microdose yourself. Step away from one small responsibility and see what the outcome is in your marriage. Step away from the other and see what the outcome is, right? But if you have attached your sense of self to what you give in the marriage, to cooking, cleaning, being a like a bed nurse to someone, then you are never going to end hyperdependency because you don't attach value to what you're giving into the situation. People only value what you actually show them requires a value, right? You will be amazed. You know, I was looking at, I don't know if you can laugh at this or how to say it, but I was looking at Balenciaga. I was looking at the Balenciaga website. We all know what who Balenciaga is. An extremely
Mm-hmm.
expensive designer. Balenciaga sells a skirt that looks like a beige used bath towel. It's exactly beige used bath towel, kept attached at the waist by a safety pin for 1,900 US dollars. And there are people who buy that. What does that mean? That means that everything has value. It all depends whether you ask for it or withhold it, right? And a hyper attached person, hyper dependent person, withholds value of themselves because it doesn't feel safe. So microdose. Make one step, see how you feel. Make another step, see how you feel. Right?
And I want to add a little bit to this, because Regina, it's been already 1 hour. I think we can wrap it up soon. So, girls, if you have any final questions, please carry on. Again, I want to remind that we're gonna put our links for both courses that you can purchase. Also, we have a package offer. If you buy both of them together, Regina will send you that link also. And to
Mhm.
answer and actually to add a bit more value and a bit more information is that if you continue this way, I have seen women what happens with their mind and body. If a woman stay unsatisfied and repressed for another 5, 10, 20, whatever years, this damage is almost irreversible. And the earlier you start, the earlier you will reverse it. Uh, the emotional repression, when it becomes chronic, the body adapts always by numbing it. And I don't want this to happen with you. Over the time, this will manifest in pain over your body. Your knees will hurt you, your pelvic floor will hurt you, you will be anxious, you will have autoimmune diseases. And I'm not saying this to scare you, because I can just talk that you're not going to have a libido and that's it. I just really want you to know that there are these risks, and the good news are that the damage is largely reversible if you just take a decision not tomorrow, but right now to be the woman that you want to be, more intentional and more focused, and just to change what no longer serves you. That's what
Mm.
I want to add. And believe me, I believe in you. I believe in you. If nobody believes in you, I believe in you. I have seen people coming from the most toxic marriages and patterns, unbelievable. Everyone can do it. Everyone. As long as you really have a strong why I want to do it. There are many women that have a lot of hidden benefits. They subconsciously want to be victim because they get resources out of the universe. Think about this also. Close your eyes, inhale and exhale, and just ask yourself, what is my hidden benefit to stay in this marriage? And just listen to the first thing that comes. That's the right thing. And next time, just realize that it's not enough. Question this. Question this hidden benefit and realize it's not enough to give yourself and your health, because at the end of the day, we only have ourselves, right?
Mm. I think this is an excellent ending, and perhaps I can just add a couple of more words. Um, it's okay to stay for the kids. It's okay to stay for the benefits. It's okay to stay for the money. It's okay to stay for the house. It's okay to stay just because you're in the right school area, right? But you cannot exchange transactional services for emotions. This is an unfair trade. So if you remove the emotions for the transactional benefits of your marriage, you're going to automatically be a lot more connected, at peace, and feel respect for yourself. You do not owe someone emotions and emotional commitment or even putting up with their psychological abuse for the benefits that you get from the marriage, right? You have to make choices. Like we say, every choice has a price, the price of the ride. Are you willing to pay? Sometimes it's just too much. And perhaps getting on another ride is a lot more beneficial, right? And these two courses actually help you make a decision about these things in life, right? I think it's very important to have clarity and to be connected and really certain with what you want in your life. And that adaptability of your mind is just what is going to take you forward, right? You're just changing your perspective and taking little steps. That's all that it is.
Yes, girls, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for being so active. Again, I want to remind you that because it's our first time doing this, I know Regina is not sharing any links right now, but we have laid out the exact step by step roadmap in our two courses, the Hyperdependent Wife Blueprint and Overcoming Sexual Taboos and Creating Lasting Intimacy. So after that, just give us 5-10 minutes and go back, come back to the comment section below, and you will find all this information. Then you can come and purchase it. And then, of course, if you want to watch more about us, we both have created two communities. You know, Regina has her community. I guess you're part of her community. Subscribe, follow, activate the notification button because we are intending to do this more often. And you have my promise, I'm going to make her do this very often, you know.
Yeah, yes, I think that I can sign up for that. You know, this is me extending myself, the small steps.
Great.
Good
Thank you,
luck.
Regina, so much for your efforts. Thank you, guys. Madiha Niyaz, thank you. Sending you love and hearts. Regina, I'm going to end this live stream, but you
Yeah.
please don't leave and stay here. All right? Thank you so much, everyone. Much love. And
Jazakallah khair, ladies.
I'm
Jazakallah khair.
really
I'll see you
happy
in
to meet you
session.
today.
Yeah. Love and peace.